Hi, my name is Melly. I'm the producer of our short film Granny Smith. I chose to be the producer for this film because I like to be organized and I like to watch things happen. And that is one of the main elements a producer has to be organized and to be able to start to build things up. Being a producer is probably one of the toughest jobs on set and off set, as it requires a lot of responsibility and it requires you to be present throughout all stages of film, through pre-production, production, and actually till the end. One of the reasons why being organized is so important as a producer, it's because it helps things go smooth, especially during the pre-production stages. The more organized you are and the more track you keep of everything in the early stages of the film, the easier it is and the easier it becomes to work on it during the actual shoot and after. So that's why organization is so important as a producer. So as a producer, I'm involved in all three stages of production: pre-production, production, and post-production. I'm going to talk about pre-production and how important and essential it is to, as I mentioned earlier, to the actual process of film. During the early stages, you have to worry about everything, from the script, to getting your team, to getting the whole crew, to getting the actors, to working along with the director and everyone in the team, making sure that they're all on the same page and that they're all doing their work on a time schedule that we, along with the first AD, we work on from the start. We had a few problems with the schedule as first, during pre-production, we went through the schedule with the director of photography, who tells us more or less what shots and how long the shots are going to take. And then we take in consideration, this is the job that I do with the first AD, you take in consideration how long the breaks are going to be, how long the makeup is going to take, the actors, and then you come up with an estimate time for each single day according to the scenes that you'll be shooting on that day. For us, that became a bit of a problem as we had to constantly just keep changing the schedule because the script constantly kept changing. We kept adding scenes and taking scenes out. So that was a bit of an unbalanced thing that affected us during production. So as we were shooting, we would always just had to rush through a few things because we were short on time, and then our shoot would be extended. And there's only a certain amount of hours that you can keep your actors and your crew on a set. You can't exceed that. That was the main problem that we had with schedule, but after all, we managed it and we finished, and then we had to take some action into cutting a few scenes down that would allow us to actually complete everything on the time frame that we had. Another problem that the producer faces is location scouting, which normally in bigger films and films with more budget, there is someone that focuses only on finding locations. But because, as I mentioned, this is a low budget independent film, we have to run everything and do everything. So from the start, we had a bit of a problem with location. In places like Dubai, location permits are an issue. Our university allows us and gives us a permit that helps us film in certain areas, but then the rest is just for us to go figure out how to get the permits. So it's always important to make sure that you have a permit, because you could be shooting in a place and halfway through it, they can come and stop you, and that just ruins everything. Your schedule, it ruins your actors, and that's just not good. So for us, location was a bit of a problem. We had to make sure to find the right location, and a location that would fit our budget, a location that would fit what the director wanted. and we moved around a lot looking for the right one, and then we ended up not getting the main location that we want, so we had to go to a location that was similar. And yeah, so location is very important when it comes to pre-production, because if you know your location well, and if you've been to your location before many times with not only the director but the director of photography, then it's easier for them to work on the shots beforehand, so that when it comes to production you can just run smooth because you already know the location. So location is very important, location scouting is really important, and getting the permits is very important as well. One of the stages of pre-production is getting not only your crew, but also finalizing your actors. The way we do that is we have different casting agencies online that you can just go on, sign in, and then you can apply for people to apply for the different roles. You look for talents. The one we used for a film, which helped us a lot, we got a lot of people, was Mixed Fame, where we just submitted all the roles that we were looking for, and then you get a bunch of people that just apply. And then one by one, you go through their pictures, you go through their videos, so that you can then call them into an audition, and that's how casting begins. I'm pretty sure in different parts of the world, you can find different casting agencies that would make your job a lot easier, rather than just going out and looking them personally. Yeah, that's... So every important decision made during pre-production has to go through the producer, always. The producer has to be announced from about everything, even the smallest and littlest things in all the other departments, whether it's art, whether it's just the director, sound, everything just goes through the producer. That's how important the producer is. Then you move into production, which during production, the producer is constantly communicating with the director. Nothing on set should be run directly to the director. You should always go either through the first AD or the producer, because this, as I mentioned earlier, would help everything go smooth and would allow the director to focus on just the actors, which is his job on set. And as a producer, I am controlling everything else around it and making sure that things are going on the time that we set, and making sure that I have a solution for any other problem that we might encounter during the shoot. In bigger films, the producer normally, it's not usually on set. In bigger films, the producer stands outside in the production room and he controls everything from there. But in smaller films, like short films like the one we shot, the producer is just always hanging around because he's needed at all times. Then we move into the post-production, which the producer is also needed, as he needs to control and make sure that we're still following the time first. Always, time is very important when it comes to film, because you have time is money, so you work on a time and you have to make sure that you're always following the time and not getting off that. So during post-production, while the edit is going on, you still have to be there and you still have to constantly communicate with everyone, with the editor in this case, and the director, to make sure that they're following the script and that they're following the scenes and that nothing's missing out. And in the meanwhile, while the edit's going on, as a producer, I have to be getting ready for to just put the film out there. So I have to get suppliers, get the connections, look at film festivals, and everything else that will help the film be screened once it's done. As I mentioned earlier, in independent films, the producer tends to stick around the set a lot more than in bigger films. Seeing as Granny Smith is a low-budget independent film, I was not just focusing on my side of the work. I was also helping out, because we were a small crew, so we needed to help everyone around and help each other out in order to make things go faster and smoother. So I was dealing with the schedule along with the first AD, which was a bit of a struggle in our film. And the reason why that was is because we ran short on time. Looking at different ways in which we can market the film. Going to film festivals, there's a bunch of websites as well where you can just apply and look at the criteria, look at what they require, look at the price and all these different steps that you need in order to submit your film. So the moment post-production begins, I'll begin to do that, begin to look for all the festivals, begin to look for festivals in different countries, not just local, but it can also be international, and look at the criteria, see which ones you like and which ones you fit, and then once the film is actually finalized and it's been done, you can go back and submit your films to these different festivals. I hope you guys learned something with me. Thank you for watching.